All right, welcome back to Good Morning Anambra Show Friday episode. It's now time for our discussion segment. What do we have? The much trended story, the return of the Dapchi girls. And in the studio this morning, we have a political analyst and, of course, a professor of university who is going to help us look at this issue. Nwachukwu, we are glad to have you in the studio. You are a political analyst. Welcome to the studio, sir.
Thank you very much.
And we also have Professor Dennis Aribor of UNIZIC. You're welcome to the studio, sir.
Thank you. Good morning, viewers.
All right, and we are still here together.
It's good to have you here, my guest.
Thank
Welcome.
you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Nigeria in recent times has been bedeviled, by this terrorist, or what do you call them, called Boko Haram, And not just that our kids are being kidnapped, but the manner and the way the things are happening leaves a whole lot of questions in the minds of Nigerians. Now, recently, it's Dapchi girls were abducted. And there were trade blames here and there that we handed over to the police, we did not hand over. Then, of course, the return, the way they were returned. So I would like you to, let me begin with you, Nwachukwu. How would you describe this scenario of the return of Dapchi girls?
To say the least, was another national entertainment. It was another national entertainment. Why do I say so? Because we all followed the build-up in terms of the withdrawal of the security. At a time, comparatively, if I may use Anambra State, between Onitsha and Owerri, peaceful neighborhood, no wars, no fights, no demonstrations, happy people. But traversing that route, you'll have minimum, maybe to just be conservative, 8 military checkpoints. I did it last week. Who will check you, ask you to come down. But in a terror-ridden place for over 7 years, suddenly you withdrew the military. Just ahead of days for the kidnap, as it's called. And then the president and agents of government at the presidency, particularly the security chiefs, was very affirmative that the girls would come back. And nothing showed that they were unsure. They were so sure. And then people were crying, talking. The president reassured the girls would come back. And when the girls came back, the heroes became the Boko Haram. The footage we saw, the government said the girls came back 3 a.m., which had to be darkness. But the footage we saw when the Boko Haram was happy, gallivanting in their, we saw a daylight footage, shaking hands. Of course, some of the commentaries did show us that they had baggages, like they're coming from a shopping in one of the best complexes around the country, because Ghana must go is not found in London. So it's from shopping malls, but in Nigeria you can find it around neighborhoods. So how come the girls that were abducted came back happily in bags in the daylight, and these people were welcome as heroes, and they were even apologizing to the parents as the reports had it? I think
Very funny.
Okay, but let's come to you. Are you in any way, based on this analysis now, have doubts in the security operatives? And there are supposedly security apparatus, maybe seeing them driving down to Dapchi, dropping the girls, and then moving back to wherever they came from.
Thank you. The idea of having doubt, there has been doubt in Nigerian security apparatus, even before Dapchi episode. That is a known fact. A typical Nigerian is not confident on the security machinery of this country. But that aside, I want to rejoice with the parents whose children have returned home.
I think we have to come to the rejoice later,
Okay.
because not just the children are rejoicing, a lot of people are congratulating.
I want to rejoice with the parents because if you know the trauma of your own child being in the bondage
If they were not part of the plans.
for one day, nobody can say that because in this situation, as an academic, I wouldn't talk because people are talking.
Okay, I think we have to pause a bit and analyze these footages which Arthur Nwachukwu has talked about earlier. You know, that when you see... Arthur, can you really recall what you earlier said concerning the return of these obstacles?
If you have, like in this studio, where you have installations of CCTV cameras, there's daylight view under infrared, and there's night view under infrared and daylight view. The contrasts of what you've just shown does not show that this came in the night, number one. Does not show evidence of security posts controlling. It's a free back from war celebration of the dreaded Boko Haram in their banners, happily plying the road. There's no other vehicle on the road. They're so free and accepted and welcome. So how do we therefore have that confidence?
Okay, let's come in here.
Yes.
Before their return,
Yes.
there were negotiations, like they made us understand. Okay?
Yes.
Well, this may be part of the agreement on the negotiation that the day we'll be returning these girls, make sure you withdraw all the security apparatus on the road, make sure there's nobody to stop us, no attack like we have seen in the past in the case of people kidnapping people in this place, and then, you know, the way they return them. Okay? So don't you think that's exactly what played out here?
Let me come in from my own background. And I wouldn't, because of your commercial reasons and the policy, mention the name of the company, where I headed as head of security and logistics. It's one of the highest oil companies in this country. As of 2003, there were indicators that some people of the northeast of Nigeria were grouping for this kind of things that I'm witnessing now. Now, security apparatus, as you asked, or maybe the scenario as it were, we have a report chronologically that the government quickly announced 111 were captured, abducted. The school said it's 105. Okay? And then there was a reason, a gap for the return of 105, and 5 died from government numbers and the school numbers. And who is giving who which source of information? You know. So on the negotiations, we did say, or whatever background they agreed, not to go forth in coming to holding or capturing or attacking Boko Haram. All abductions we know are delivered in obsolete places, remote places, dumped, even basic kidnaps. Why are they coming like heroes, coming to showcase their power, might, and of course their recognition and acceptance? And they were being called holy warriors.
Now let's come to you, Prof. Let's come to you. Let's look at that negotiation. Okay? Who did you negotiate with? These people are terrorists, supposed to be faceless. Who did the federal government negotiate with? What was the terms of the negotiation? Because Lai Mohammed told us they negotiated, but no money was paid. Even when we have started hearing about, the billions of dollars that left the coffers of this nation. How? Who negotiated with whom?
You know, the kidnapping issue these days is more like a business. If you go to people living up there in the north, they will tell you that even the political elites are part of this business. It is rife. What government tells us is different from what the people tell us. Then what we saw is that international bodies, as it is reported, not just Nigerians, international bodies, countries outside this country, and their organizations played role in these negotiations. Then you keep wondering, where is our strength? You see, I'm not a security expert, but I know that in this type of situation, there is always a thin line because you are dealing with human beings. And some of these human beings have people they respect or organizations they trust. But this particular situation, this particular scenario that happened now, it looks as if there is so much doubt of whether there is actually a kidnapping by insurgent. So you cannot say exactly who did what. But the report we have is that foreign countries aided in this negotiation.
And why were they not involved in the Chibok negotiation?
That's the question mark there. That's the question mark there.
Okay.
Because from what we have seen, one person was not released because he's a Christian. In the Chibok affair, majority are Christians. So we don't know what is happening. That of Chibok, I think more than 90% are Christians, if not 100. But in this one, more than 90 are Muslims. So you see the religious dimension to all these things.
Okay, when we look at the clips of this return of the Dapchi girls, one may really think or ask this question: does it mean our security personnel went to sleep? Probably they took sleeping pills, that these people came home and no attempt was actually made to resist them, or to really get them, or is it, and look at the bags we are seeing. Did they pack their bags when they came to pick them? That's the question that one may really ask. Prof, can you help us here?
The issue there is that there is a strong suspicion of conspiracy. And this can only be unraveled by an independent, not government instituted, an independent inquiry.
Conspiracy on whose side?
I want to use the word political elite. Probably of the northern extraction.
Okay.
I want to use that, put it that way. Whether the government that talking, because there's this strong allegation that this has become a business. The running of the IDPs and the rest of them have become a huge business for some interest there. And who are these interests? They are not the low people, not the big people. So there is a strong need for strong investigation by experts in that area to tell us the truth, because we can't trust government submission. We can't trust them.
And actually, somebody really mentioned, I think it's Lai Mohammed, that this is what government should be, and maybe trying to compare this with Chibok girls, and just like the president promised that they are going to come out before 2 weeks, and eventually they came out. So how do you see it? How do you see the whole thing?
I think it's obvious. Let's follow through the script. 2019 is an election year, and you must set up, because we're going to have the part 2 of the script. This was the part 1.
Yeah.
Certainly, we're going to have the part 2 of the script. As Prof said, it will be an impossible wish realizable. It's not going to be realizable to find an independent inquiry. Remember that when these girls were adopted, instead of government chasing them with all the monies and all the airspace that's covered by drones and active Nigerian Air Force planes, they set up a committee, buying the time. As you did allude, the Minister of Defense said in 2 weeks, and in no time it happened that they were released in daylight. But they want to give a comparison of Chibok girls and Dapchi girls, that there they were quick to really get them back, and the other one, the former government couldn't, do much until they came to doing that. But why that level of cost of using human lives and the trauma for that level of political sacrifice? And why do you make it relevant to any section of this country that religion becomes the basis of belonging in a country as good, as blessed as Nigeria? That one person will be isolated and kept back. And then the security agents didn't care about whatever. Somebody is saying, today I saw in one of the newspapers that the president is assuring Nigerians that that girl will be released. Must still wait for that level. If they did a familiar negotiations with friends, enemies we are looking for became government friends that can deliver the girls that were adopted. Because the terrorists are enemies.
No, but I think we'll have a problem here. We'll have a problem here because...
I think before we really go into that, let's quickly see reactions of some Nigerians regarding the release of these Dapchi girls. So many Nigerians have actually reacted. Even OBS Ekwesili also reacted. So let's quickly see the clips of reactions by some Nigerians. Now, this is from, so at Muhammad Buhari, you paid Boko Haram and allowed them to drive into Yobe to drop off the abducted girls, and no arrest was made. Legendary incompetence at Sija Link. Dapchi girls. That's coming from Baba Shola Kuti. And so many others coming on.
Well, in line with this, that's the question I wanted to throw in, actually. We're told, Nigerians were told that Boko Haram have been defeated. You go to Sambisa Forest, there are no more there. And then they use the Army helicopters to look for these Dapchi girls, you know. Even they use the hunters and the rest of them, searching for them. And basically, it's obvious that they said the Boko Haram are no more here in Nigeria. Now, the people returned with this group of people on the broad daylight. These are the people we've been looking for. They're no more here. How come they were not arrested? How come nobody looked at them? Was they part of the negotiation? My colleague said, negotiation with who?
The issue there is that we are still very far from Nigeria, when I say we, from what we should be as a country. What we are seeing are indices of a country that is not on the right track. Why do I say that? You can't be fighting asymmetrical warfare like Boko Haram. You come out openly to say that you have defeated it. You don't know their strategies. This is not a country that has declared another war on you, and you're not the one to say that it has been defeated. But you know that we are in a country where government hardly tells us the fact, the truth. For them, the more propaganda and lies they can feed to the public so as to continue what they're doing, the better for them.
All right, I think we have to take some reactions now because we have so many of them coming. Okay, this one, before hashtag Dapchi girls were abducted, someone called to withdraw the security forces in the area. Before they nearly captured Boko Haram leader Shekau, someone called the troops to stand down. Who is this someone who has no name? That's coming from Opeyemi Babalola. And another one.
It must have taken a lot of return. It must have taken a lot to return the Dapchi girls in terms of logistics. It would be great to know what Nigeria had to give do this time to have these girls returned. We are glad they are back, but let's not miss a chance to learn how to do better.
Another one?
I commend the Buhari administration for the release of the Dapchi girls through back channels. I welcome the assurances that no ransom was paid. I am sad at the news that some of the girls died and one still remains in captivity because she refused to abandon Christ. And this one is coming from Renu Omokiri.
All right, I think we have to take a call here before we return. Hello?
Hello?
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
What's your name and where are you calling from?
Yeah, my name is Mike Ofia.
Mike Ofia from where?
From Oka here.
All right, go ahead, Mike.
It is nice ABS is discussing this issue. for me, like somebody joked, these girls were taken to Dubai for shopping. Now you can see the shopping bags there. So it is, like Prof said, it has become a business. Someone just commented that before they were sick, somebody called to withdraw the budget. Who is that person? So it is business. Where did they get those bags? Those bags they are coming for? Is it in the school when they were sick? Or in Sambisa, wherever they were sick? Let's ask questions. Where did they get this bag? Because the Nigerians are not fools now. So enough of this gimmicks. Let them do their business and then make their money. Time will tell what they'll give accounts or what they are doing.
All right, thank you very much, Mike.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. I think, Prof, we've got to react to Reno Omokri's statement, talking about commending Buhari, but he weeps for the girls that died and one still remaining in captivity. What's your reaction to that?
You see, a lot of suspicion. I'm yet to see a parent who has come out to say that his child named ABC is among those that have died. I've not seen that.
That have died?
Yes.
Okay, let's see who is. Okay, we can go on.
So if my child dies, I think I should be lamenting, and the entire world will know.
That's an angle to that again.
So, but they say 5 died, not one person, either a sibling or a parent has come out to say my own died. So, you see, it looks like a helpless situation in this country, but we can't run away. We have to keep on keeping hope alive and doing what we can, because from the background we are coming. For us, the academia put, Nigeria is yet to start existing. Nigeria is yet to start existing. What do I mean? Nigeria is yet to begin.
Okay.
The people of Nigeria is yet to take over is yet to take their country back and define this country, because it's a country of the more you look, the less you see.
How do you expect them to take it back? How?
What we are doing is part of it.
Okay.
Your reaction to this?
First of all, when abduction happens and there are such releases, the psychological procedure is that the returnees are sent into centers where psychologically they're actually rehabilitated. And most times in the previous experience with the Chibok, parents never got to see their children until long after the minister and the rest. At the time, OBS Ezekiel Sele's group never were allowed access, even when they mounted the greatest pressure in achieving that result upon the government. So, talking about, with every due respect, Prof, talking about whether the parents would make comment or come out by relations to say theirs were part of the 5 that allegedly died may be too early to deal with now. Number 2 is, these girls have not spoken. The only person that actually spoke was the parent, and still speaking, as of this morning on radio news, the parent, the man whose daughter was allegedly held back, saying that it has to be released on account of, being part of the people Islam, that, yes. No, has to be released because it's part of the adopted children, not that it's religion or what have you. But I'm also waiting to see the reaction of the Christian community, and that's that level of bombardment on their faith and their existence.
And it may interest us to know that she was not the only Christian there. Some agreed to the terms and got converted, while some perhaps died. Yeah,
because that's why you had the information. That's why you had the information that they were congratulating the holy warriors for returning these girls with some level of fanfare unprecedented. And they told them never to let them go back to school And Boko Haram, I mean the returnees, the people that usually the Boko Haram as it were, did say that they did not know that these children, as they were, I mean the students, were Muslims. That's a very big statement in a country like Nigeria, where we are not existing as a religious country. I mean, it's a talk for another day.
All right, I think let's get back to get more reactions by Nigerians right now. This one says, Dapchi girls, they should not have been kidnapped in the first place. Terrorists shouldn't have the capacity to kidnap girls and return them on their own terms, driving in triumphantly. Happy for the parents, but sad for what our country, Nigeria, has become. A lawless piece of that. All right, Prof, can you quickly react to this?
Yes, the statement is right, because, as we have said earlier, we need to start asking questions. If you look at the origin of Boko Haram, the origin, as my colleague here said, there were warnings. I think under the military era, there were warnings of this thing coming up, but it was ignored. And there was also, there is this angle that a political master was using them to achieve his political aim in the north, in the northeast. And because the arrowhead, I think Yusuf that time, I don't know, I can't remember the name, was murdered brutally because of what he may have told the world. That is how this thing went haywire. So it's that it is not just a creation of a conviction. It's a creation of necessity by those who are Nigerian enemies. And who are they? The political class, whether they are Christians or they are Muslims. At that level, they are one. And that the people, Nigerian masses, should rise and get them to know that this country belongs to all of us.
All right, in case you're watching, please, there's a number on your screen, or there are two numbers on your screen. You can call us and let us know how you feel about the whole thing. But at this point, we are going for a very short break. The program returns after now. Please join us again.